The alien ship appeared on a Tuesday morning. It was massive, bigger than any city on Earth. The vessel hung in the sky above Geneva, Switzerland, casting a shadow over the United Nations building. People around the world stopped what they were doing and stared at their screens. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Within hours, the ship sent a message. It came in every human language at once. The voice was calm and pleasant. It said, "People of Earth, we are the Galactic Council. We bring greetings from the civilized worlds. You are invited to join us." Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the emergency meeting room at UN headquarters. She had been appointed Secretary General just 3 months earlier. Now she faced the biggest challenge in human history. Around the table sat representatives from every major nation. Everyone looked worried. Everyone except Sarah. She had read enough history to know that when someone offers you something that sounds too good to be true, it usually is. The aliens sent down a shuttle the next day. It landed softly in front of the UN building. The door opened and 3 beings walked out. They did not look human at all. The lead alien was tall and made of something that looked like living crystal. Light moved through its body in strange patterns. It introduced itself as Ambassador Thelnora of the Luminar species. "We have watched your species for some time," Thelnora said. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "You have achieved space travel. You have split the atom. You have connected your entire world through technology. You are ready to join galactic society." Sarah shook the ambassador's crystalline hand. It felt warm and smooth. "We are honored by your visit," she said carefully. "What does membership in the Galactic Council involve?" Thelnora's light patterns seemed to brighten. "We have brought the documents, the standard integration protocols. Every new species signs them. It is how we maintain peace and prosperity across 47 civilizations." A smaller alien who looked like a floating jellyfish handed Sarah a data device. She looked at the screen. The document was over 10,000 pages long. Her heart sank. "This is quite lengthy," Sarah said. "We will need time to review it." "Of course," Thelnora said. "Take one of your months, but understand, these terms are not negotiable. They are the same terms every species has accepted for the past 100,000 years. They work. They bring peace." After the aliens left, Sarah gathered her team. They worked day and night translating and analyzing the document. What they found made Sarah's blood run cold. The terms were simple but brutal. Earth would give 40% of all its resources to the Council. Every piece of human technology would become Council property. Humanity could only have 3 billion people, no more. Humans would need to undergo genetic modifications to make them compatible with other species. Earth could not colonize any new worlds without permission, and the Council would place military bases on Earth and Mars. "This is not membership," said General Rodriguez, the head of Earth's Unified Military Command. "This is surrender. Has any species ever refused?" asked Dr. Kim, the chief science advisor. Sarah pulled up the historical section of the document. "No. According to this, every species for 100,000 years has signed. Some hesitated for a few days, but they all signed." "What happens if we refuse?" Rodriguez asked. Sarah scrolled to another section. "It does not say. I think they have never considered that possibility." For 3 weeks, humanity debated. News networks showed endless discussions. Scientists, philosophers, politicians, and ordinary people all had opinions. Some said humanity should be grateful for the chance to join galactic civilization. Others said the price was too high. Sarah made a decision. She would let all of humanity vote. Every person over the age of 16 would have a say. The question was simple. Should humanity accept the Galactic Council's terms? The vote took 2 months. When the results came in, Sarah stared at her screen in wonder. 89% had voted no. Even the 11% who voted yes had written comments saying they wished the terms could be changed. Ambassador Thelnora returned with a larger delegation. The aliens seemed confused. "You have had time to review," Thelnora said. "Surely you understand what an honor this is. What is your answer?" Sarah stood before the assembled aliens. She wore a simple black suit. Behind her stood representatives from every nation on Earth. Her voice was calm and clear. "Ambassador Thelnora, we thank you for the offer of contact. We are excited to learn about other civilizations. We hope to build friendships across the stars. But we cannot accept your terms." The lights in Thelnora's body flickered. The other aliens made sounds of surprise. You cannot... What do you mean you cannot accept? Every species accepts. This is how it is done. Your terms are not negotiation, Sarah said. They are subjugation. You ask us to give up our freedom, our resources, and our future. We will not do that. But you must understand, Thelnora said, and now its voice had an edge to it. The Council maintains peace. We prevent wars. We guide young species like yours. We will guide ourselves, Sarah replied. Humanity rejects membership in the Galactic Council. The silence in the room was total. The aliens looked at each other. Finally, Thelnora spoke again. Its voice was cold now. You do not understand what you have done. The Council cannot allow an independent human civilization. It would inspire others to rebel. You have 1 year to reconsider. If you do not accept our terms, we will be forced to take protective action. You will be brought into the Council willing or not. Sarah met the ambassador's crystalline gaze without flinching. Then we will see you in 1 year. Humanity will be ready. The aliens left. Their ship rose into the sky and disappeared among the stars. Around the world, humans watched them go. Some people were afraid, but most felt something they had not expected to feel. Pride. That night, Sarah stood on the balcony of her office. She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was probably shocked. No species had ever said no before. They thought humanity would be like all the others. They thought humans would be grateful and obedient. They were wrong. Sarah smiled. The Council had given humanity a year. She intended to use every second of it. If the aliens wanted Earth, they would have to take it. And humanity had a long history of making that very difficult. The year of preparation began the morning after the aliens left. Sarah called an emergency meeting of world leaders. Every president, prime minister, and chancellor attended by video link. The message was clear. Humanity had 1 year to prepare for war. We need to be realistic, General Rodriguez said. The Council has 47 civilizations. They have been traveling space for thousands of years. We have been in space for less than a century. If they want to destroy us, they probably can. Probably is not certainly, Sarah replied. And we are not trying to destroy them. We just need to make conquering us too expensive, too difficult, too costly. Dr. Kim stood up. She had spent the past week analyzing everything they knew about the Council. I have been studying their technology and their history. I think we might have advantages they do not expect. Everyone turned to look at her. What advantages? Sarah asked. They have been at peace for 50,000 years, Dr. Kim said. Think about what that means. No wars, no conflicts, no need to develop weapons or tactics. They use their military like a police force. They show up with overwhelming numbers and everyone surrenders. And we are different, Rodriguez said slowly, beginning to understand. Very different, Dr. Kim agreed. Humans have been fighting wars for our entire history. 2 world wars in the 20th century alone. We have studied strategy, tactics, and warfare for thousands of years. We write books about it. We make movies about it. We play games that simulate it. War is woven into our culture. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. You are saying that our violent history is actually an advantage? I am saying that we are very, very good at something they have forgotten how to do, Dr. Kim said. And their own documents prove it. Look at their ship designs. They are beautiful, but not practical for combat. Look at their tactics. They rely on fear and numbers. They have no experience with an enemy that fights back. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Rodriguez spoke. So we do not fight them head on. We cannot win that way. We fight like guerrillas. We hit and run. We make them bleed for every inch. Exactly, Dr. Kim said. And we have other advantages too. Our computer technology is actually more advanced than theirs. They noticed but dismissed it as primitive. We also still develop artificial intelligence. They banned AI development thousands of years ago after some kind of rebellion. We never stopped. Sarah stood up. Then here is what we do. We turn every colony into a fortress. We arm every station. We train every pilot. We prepare for guerrilla warfare in space. And we use our AI to coordinate attacks they cannot predict. There is one more thing, Dr. Kim said quietly. I reviewed the historical records they provided. The Council has put down rebellions before, 6 of them in the past 10,000 years. Each time other species watched and learned that resistance was hopeless. But if we succeed even partially, it will inspire others. Then we have to win. Sarah said simply. The year passed quickly. Humanity transformed itself. Every spaceship, even civilian ones, received hidden weapons. Asteroid bases expanded and armed themselves. The moon became a military installation. Mars colony built underground bunkers that could survive orbital bombardment. On Earth, cities built underground shelters. Factories switched to producing weapons and ships. Scientists worked day and night developing new technology. The entire planet became focused on a single goal: survival. Rodriguez assembled a team of the best military minds from every nation. They studied every human war in history. They analyzed tactics from ancient times to modern conflicts. They ran thousands of computer simulations. And they developed a plan. The plan had a name: Protocol Defiance. It was based on a simple principle. The Council expected humanity to fight like the Council fought: big fleets in open space, formal battles, eventually a surrender. Protocol Defiance threw all of that away. Humanity would fight like humans had always fought when facing a stronger enemy. They would be unpredictable, ruthless, and willing to sacrifice anything for freedom. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the Galactic Council gathered. Ambassador Thelnora stood before the High Assembly. The chamber was enormous, filled with representatives from 47 different species. The air was filled with translated speech as beings of all shapes and sizes discussed the human problem. The humans have refused, Thelnora reported. It is unprecedented. In 100,000 years, no species has ever rejected the standard integration protocols. A massive creature made of living water spoke up. It was Counselor Nex, the military coordinator. Then we will demonstrate why acceptance is wise.
Send the fleet.
Show them what happens to those who refuse the Council's guidance. But another voice interrupted. It belonged to Commander Kritak of the Zathari species. The Zathari looked like upright reptiles covered in dark scales. They were one of the few warrior species in the Council. They had joined 20,000 years ago, trading their warlike ways for peace and prosperity. I have been studying the humans, Kritak said.
I recommend caution.
They are not like other species we have integrated. All species think they are special, Nex replied dismissively. The humans have a few hundred ships. We will send 1,000,000. They will see reason. With respect, Counselor, you have not read their history files, Kritak insisted. These beings are different. They have been at war for their entire evolution. They fought 2 global conflicts in the same century, conflicts that killed hundreds of millions. They invented weapons that could destroy their own planet and somehow decided not to use them. That takes a kind of discipline we have not seen before. All the more reason to bring them into the Council quickly, another voice said. Before they become a threat, Kritak tried again. I'm saying they are already a threat, not because of their technology, but because of their psychology. Every piece of their entertainment is about conflict. Every game they play simulates warfare. Their children grow up learning strategy. They do not just know war. They are evolved for it. The assembly was quiet for a moment. Then Counselor Nex laughed. It was a sound like crashing waves. Commander Kritak, you are a warrior at heart. You see warriors everywhere. But the reality is simple. We have 1,000,000 ships. They have a few hundred. The outcome is certain. The assembly voted. The decision was unanimous. The fleet would be sent. Kritak would lead it despite his concerns. They would arrive at Earth in 30 days. The humans would be given one final chance to surrender. If they refused, the Council fleet would pacify them by force. Back on Earth, Sarah received the message from the Council. The fleet was coming. 30 days. She called Rodriguez and Dr. Kim to her office. They are sending 1,000,000 ships, Sarah said, showing them the message. It is the largest military force they have assembled in 10,000 years. They are trying to overwhelm us with numbers, Rodriguez said. They want us to surrender before the fighting starts. Will it work? Sarah asked quietly. Rodriguez smiled. It was not a nice smile. No, they made a mistake. They gave us a year to prepare. They gave us time to study them. And most importantly, they underestimated us. That is the last mistake they will make. Dr. Kim pulled up a star chart. We have positioned mines, drones, and hidden weapons throughout the solar system. Every asteroid has become a potential attack platform. Every satellite has been weaponized. When their fleet arrives, they will not find frightened primitives. They will find a trap. Sarah looked at both of them. This is really happening. We are going to fight an alien empire. Yes, Rodriguez said. And we are going to show them why humanity does not surrender. Sarah nodded slowly. She thought about all the people on Earth, all the children who would grow up in whatever world came after this war, all the sacrifices that would be made. Was freedom worth it? Was independence worth dying for? She looked at the stars through her window. Yes. It was worth it. Humanity would rather die free than live as slaves. That was who they were. That was who they had always been. Activate Protocol Defiance, she said quietly. Let them come. The Council fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 1 million warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. They formed a wall of metal and energy that stretched across space like a second asteroid belt. Each ship was beautiful in its own way, designed by species that valued art as much as function. They gleamed in the sunlight, broadcasting power and certainty. Commander Kretach stood on the bridge of his flagship. Around him, his crew worked efficiently. The Zathari had been warriors once 10,000 years ago. That was before they joined the Council and embraced peace. But Kretach still remembered the old ways. His grandmother had told him stories of the warrior clans. Sometimes he missed the simplicity of those days. All ships report ready, his second officer announced. Shall we proceed to Earth? Slowly, Kretach ordered. We give them time to see our numbers, time to understand that resistance is futile. This is how it has always been done. But as the fleet moved forward, Kretach felt uneasy. He had studied the human files again during the journey. The more he learned, the more worried he became. These humans were strange. They had reached space while still divided into competing nations. They had built weapons to destroy themselves and then had the restraint not to use them. They wrote books about war and made entertainment about conflict. What kind of species did that? The fleet reached Mars orbit. Kretach sent the message he had been ordered to send. People of Earth, this is Commander Kretach of the Galactic Council Fleet. You see our numbers. You understand what we can do. We do not wish to harm you. Surrender now and accept the standard integration protocols. This is your final chance, the reply came quickly. It was Dr. Sarah Chen. Her face appeared on every screen in the fleet. She looked calm, too calm. Commander Kretach, we appreciate your warning. Our answer is the same as before. We will not surrender our freedom. If you want Earth, you will have to take it. Kretach sighed. He had expected this. Then we will take it. You leave us no choice. Prepare your pacification beams. The pacification beams were the Council's standard weapon. They disabled technology without killing people. They had been used successfully for thousands of years. Every species surrendered once they saw their ships and cities go dark. The fleet fired. Brilliant beams of energy lanced across space toward Earth's orbital stations. Kretach watched the displays, waiting for the stations to go dark. Instead, nothing happened. The beams struck shields that should not exist, energy barriers that the humans should not have been able to build. Analysis, Kretach demanded. Their shields are modulating frequencies, the tactical officer reported. They are adapting to our beams in real time. This should not be possible. It would require computing power we do not have. They have advanced AI, Kretach said grimly. I warned the Council. Switch to kinetic weapons. Before the order could be carried out, space erupted with chaos. Thousands of objects appeared on sensors. Missiles launched from hidden positions throughout the system. Asteroids that had seemed natural suddenly opened up to reveal weapon batteries. Small ships disguised as civilian craft dropped their camouflage and attacked. The humans were not waiting to be conquered. They were attacking evasive action, Kretach ordered. But the Council fleet was not designed for evasive action. It was designed to arrive in overwhelming force and make a show of power. The ships were packed together in perfect formation. Perfect for intimidation. Terrible for combat. Human missiles struck the outer ships, not with energy weapons but with simple kinetic force. Chunks of metal moving at incredible speed. The Council had abandoned such primitive weapons thousands of years ago. But primitive did not mean ineffective. Ships crumpled under the impacts. Shields designed to stop energy beams did nothing against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. Report, Kretach snapped. 12 ships destroyed, 53 damaged, his officer said, and Kretach heard the shock in his voice. They are using kinetic kill vehicles, pieces of metal launched years ago that are just now reaching us, The calculations required to do this are incredible. Spread the fleet out, Kurtash ordered. Engage their ships. Show them our superior numbers. But the human ships refused to engage directly. They hit and ran. They struck from unexpected angles and disappeared before the Council fleet could respond. They used the sun's gravity to slingshot around, building up speed that made them nearly impossible to target. They hid in the shadows of planets and struck when the Council ships were blind. Days turned into weeks. The Council fleet tried to push toward Earth, but the humans were everywhere. They did not fight fair. They did not fight honorably. They fought to win. They broadcast footage of destroyed Council ships back to their home worlds. They sent messages designed to break morale. They hacked into Council communications and played recordings of human victories. Psychological warfare on a scale the Council had never experienced. Kurtak found himself admiring them even as he fought them. These humans understood war in a way his people had forgotten. They were creative, ruthless, and unpredictable. Every time he thought he understood their tactics, they changed them. 1 month into the battle, Kurtak received a message that changed everything. It was not from the humans. It was from one of the Council member worlds, a species called the Trill, who lived in the core systems far from Earth. The message was simple but devastating. If the humans can resist, so can we. Freedom is worth fighting for. Kurtak sat in his command chair and stared at the message. This was what he had feared, what he had warned the Council about. The humans were not just fighting for their own freedom. They were inspiring others. Every day the battle continued, more species were watching. More species were thinking about their own chains. He opened a secure channel to Earth. Dr. Chen, this is Commander Kurtak. I need to speak with you privately. To his surprise, she agreed. They met on a neutral station, one that neither side had claimed. It was dangerous for both of them. Kurtak walked into the meeting room and saw Sarah Chen waiting. She looked tired. There were dark circles under her eyes. The war was costing her too, Commander, she said, offering her hand. Kurtak shook it carefully. Human hands were so fragile, Dr. Chen. I wanted you to know that I tried to warn them. The Council. I told them you were different. I believe you, Sarah said. You are Zathari. Your people were warriors once. You understand what we are. I do, Kurtak said quietly. And I understand what you have done. You have shown the galaxy that the Council can bleed. That resistance is possible. Do you know what that means? War, Sarah said simply. Not just with you, with everyone. The Council will have to crush us completely or face rebellions across the galaxy. Yes, and to crush you completely, they would have to destroy Earth. Kill every human. Burn your world to ash. Because you will never surrender, will you? Sarah met his eyes. Never, Kurtak nodded slowly. That is what I thought. And if the Council does that, if they commit genocide to make an example of you, they will prove everything you have said about them. They will prove they are tyrants. More species will rebel. The Council will have to suppress rebellion after rebellion. Their empire of peace will become an empire of blood. So what do you propose? Sarah asked. I propose that we find a third option, Kurtak said. One where humanity keeps its freedom and the Council does not destroy itself trying to take it away. Sarah leaned forward. I am listening. Half my fleet wants to go home, Kurtak admitted. They are tired of fighting. They are starting to ask questions. Why are we attacking these people? What did they do wrong except want to be free? I have tried to maintain discipline, but the truth is spreading. And it is not just my fleet. 6 Council worlds are showing signs of unrest. Your message is getting through. Then join us, Sarah said. Help us change the system. Make the Council what it should be. A true alliance of free peoples, not a prison of forced membership. Kurtak looked at this small human who had defied an empire, who had fought a war against impossible odds, who still hoped for peace. And he made a decision that would change galactic history. Yes, he said. My people gave up war 10,000 years ago. We thought we were becoming civilized. But watching you fight reminded us of something important. Freedom is worth fighting for. Peace without freedom is just slavery with a prettier name. Sarah smiled for the first time in weeks. Welcome to the rebellion, Commander. The rebellion spread faster than anyone expected. Commander Kurtak returned to his fleet and made an announcement that shocked the Council. 20 ships defected immediately. Within days, entire squadrons were joining the human cause. The Zethari were not the only ones. Species from across the council began to question why they were fighting people who just wanted to be free. Ambassador Thelnora received the news in the council chambers. The crystalline being's lights flickered in patterns that indicated distress. This is a disaster. Kritak was supposed to crush the rebellion, not join it. Counselor Nex, the being of living water, surged forward. Then we send more ships. We cannot allow this to continue. If humanity wins, the entire council structure will collapse. 47 civilizations will descend into chaos. Or 47 civilizations will become free, a new voice said. It belonged to Ambassador Vel of the Trill. The Trill were small, insect-like beings who had been council members for 8,000 years. Vel's wings buzzed with agitation. Perhaps it is time we admitted that the standard integration protocols are not about maintaining peace. They are about maintaining control. The chamber erupted in argument. The council was dividing. Some species supported the old ways. Others were inspired by humanity's defiance. The empire that had stood for 100,000 years was cracking. Back in the solar system, Sarah Chen stood in the command center deep beneath New York City. Holographic displays showed the tactical situation. The council fleet was in disarray. Some ships were fighting humans. Some were fighting each other. And some had simply left, returning home to their worlds. We are winning, General Rodriguez said, but he did not sound happy. But the cost is terrible. Sarah looked at the casualty reports. Mars colony had been destroyed in the early fighting. 3 million people lost. Luna base had fallen when the council tried one massive assault. 2 million more. Orbital stations throughout the system were damaged or destroyed. Earth itself had been struck by debris from space battles. Cities had been evacuated. Millions were living underground. Freedom has a price, Sarah said quietly. We knew that when we started. The question is whether the price is too high, Dr. Kim said. She looked older than she had a year ago. They all did. Sarah, we could still negotiate. Offer some compromise. End the killing, Sarah shook her head. No. If we compromise now, we teach the galaxy that defiance only brings destruction. We need to see this through. For humanity and for everyone else who dreams of freedom. A communication alert sounded. It was Kritak. Dr. Chen, we need to talk. The situation has changed. They met again on the neutral station. This time Kritak was not alone. With him were representatives from 23 council species. Some were military commanders like him. Others were diplomats who had defected. All of them looked tired but determined. We have a proposal, Kritak said. An alternative to the council's empire. We call it the Free Species Alliance. One of the other aliens, a floating jellyfish-like being, spoke up. The principle is simple. Every species keeps its sovereignty. Every species controls its own resources. We work together by choice, not by force. We trade, share knowledge, and defend each other. But no one rules over anyone else. Sarah felt hope surge in her chest. This is what we have been fighting for. How many species support this? 23 so far, Kritak said. But more are wavering. The old council is trying to hold things together, but they are failing. They have two choices now. They can accept reform and join the new alliance. Or they can fight us and lose what little authority they have left. They will fight, Sarah predicted. The ones in power always do. They cannot imagine a galaxy where they are not in charge. Then we need to be ready for a final confrontation, Kritak said. The council is gathering its loyal forces. They plan to attack Earth one more time. If they can destroy you, they think they can frighten everyone else back into submission. How many ships? Rodriguez asked. 500,000. The ones still loyal to the old ways. They arrive in 1 week. The room was quiet. 500,000 ships was still an overwhelming force. The human fleet was down to just 200 operational vessels. Even with their defector allies, they would be outnumbered 3-1. We can hold them, Rodriguez said finally. We have been preparing for this. Earth is a fortress now. Every approach is mined. Every orbital path is covered by weapons. They will bleed for every inch. And we will fight beside you, Kritak said. All 23 species of the Free Alliance. We are not as strong as the Council fleet, but we know how you fight now. We have learned from you. Sarah looked at the assembled aliens. Beings from across the galaxy. united not by force but by a shared dream of freedom. Then we make our stand together. We show the Council that the galaxy has changed, that we will not go back to the old ways. The final battle began exactly 1 week later. The Council Loyalist fleet arrived in perfect formation. They broadcast a message to Earth. It was Counselor Nex, the being of living water. Humanity, your rebellion ends now. Surrender immediately or we will reduce your planet to lifeless rock. This is your final warning. Sarah stood in the command center. Every human on Earth was watching. Every member of the Free Alliance was watching. Every species in the Council was watching. This was the moment that would determine the future of the galaxy. She opened a channel that broadcast to every ship, every station, every world. Counselor Nex, you do not understand what you are facing. We are not just humans defending Earth. We are free beings defending freedom itself. You can destroy our planet, you can kill every one of us, but you cannot kill the idea we represent. And that idea will spread across the stars long after we are gone. Then you have chosen death, Nex replied.
Fleet, advance.
Destroy them all. The Loyalist fleet moved forward. And space erupted into the largest battle in galactic history. Human ships fought with desperate courage. Free Alliance vessels fought beside them. The Council Loyalists had numbers, but the Defenders had something more important. They were fighting for something they believed in. The battle raged for 3 days. Ships clashed in the dark between planets. Weapons fire lit up the void. Brilliant explosions marked the death of vessels on both sides. The Council pushed forward, losing ships with every kilometer. The Defenders fell back, making the Council pay in blood for every inch. On the 3rd day, something unexpected happened. 10,000 ships from the Council fleet suddenly stopped fighting. Their commanders broadcast a message. We will not destroy Earth. We will not commit genocide to preserve tyranny. We are joining the Free Alliance. The tide turned. The Loyalist fleet found itself surrounded by former allies. Counselor Nex made one final desperate attempt to rally his forces, but it was too late. The Empire was breaking apart. Species that had been enslaved for thousands of years were choosing freedom. 3 hours later, the Loyalist fleet retreated. They did not surrender. They simply left, falling back to the core systems where the old Council still held power. But everyone knew the truth. The battle was over. The war was won. Sarah stood on the surface of Earth for the first time in weeks. The sky was full of ships. Human ships, Sathari ships, Trill ships, ships from dozens of species, all flying together as equals. The Free Species Alliance was real. Kritak walked up beside her. The massive reptilian being looked tired but happy. We did it, he said simply. No, Sarah corrected gently. You did it. All of you. Humanity just showed you it was possible. You had the courage to make it real. What happens now? Kritak asked. Sarah looked up at the stars. Now we build something better. A true alliance. A real peace. One based on freedom, not fear. And the old Council? Kritash asked. The ones who retreated. They can join us when they are ready, Sarah said. Or they can stay isolated. Either way, the galaxy has changed. It can never go back to what it was. Kritak nodded slowly. My people have a saying. The hardest part of any journey is the first step. Humanity took that step. You said no when everyone else said yes. You fought when everyone else surrendered. And because of that, the galaxy is free. Sarah smiled. The galaxy was always free. It just did not know it yet. We just reminded everyone of something important. Freedom is not given. It is taken. And it is worth any price. 5 years passed. The galaxy transformed in ways no one could have predicted. The Free Species Alliance grew from 23 founding members to 37 free civilizations. Each one had overthrown its own oppressive government, or simply walked away from the old Council system. The wave of freedom that humanity started could not be stopped. The old Galactic Council still existed. 10 species remained loyal to the old ways. They controlled the core systems and maintained their empire of forced membership. But their power was broken. They could no longer threaten other species into submission. The galaxy had learned that resistance was possible. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the Great Hall of the Free Alliance. The building was new, constructed on neutral ground between Earth and Zathar Prime. It was designed to accommodate beings of all shapes and sizes. The architecture blended humans, Athari, Trill, and dozens of other cultural styles. It was beautiful in its diversity. Today was an important day. The Alliance was electing its first coordinator. The position was not a ruler. The coordinator had no power to command other species. Instead, the role was to facilitate communication, organize meetings, and help resolve disputes. Every member species had an equal vote. Every species kept its complete sovereignty. Sarah had not wanted to run for the position. She had done her part. She had led humanity through the rebellion. Now she wanted to rest. But the other species had insisted. They trusted her. They knew she would never try to build a new empire. The vote was unanimous. Sarah Chen became the first coordinator of the Free Species Alliance. She accepted with mixed feelings. The responsibility was enormous, but she also felt proud. Humanity had changed the galaxy. Now she would help guide it toward a better future. Her first act as coordinator was to open the alliance to any species that wanted to join. There were no membership fees, no forced technology sharing, no population caps, no genetic modification requirements. The only requirement was a commitment to peace and a promise to respect the sovereignty of other members. The response was overwhelming. Within weeks, 5 more species applied for membership. Within months, it was 20. Even some species from the old council began to reconsider their loyalties. Ambassador Thelnora was one of the first to defect. The Luminar representative had spent 5 years watching the alliance grow. She had seen free species thriving in ways that council members never had. Innovation was exploding. Art and culture were flourishing. Trade was booming. All because beings were working together by choice instead of compulsion. Thelnora requested a meeting with Sarah. They met in the same room where they had first discussed the standard integration protocols 5 years earlier. So much had changed since then. I came to apologize, Thelnora said. The crystalline being's lights flickered in patterns that Sarah had learned indicated shame. I did not understand what the council had become. I thought we were maintaining peace. I did not see that we were maintaining a prison. Sarah smiled gently. You were doing what you thought was right. We all were. The important thing is that you see the truth now. The Luminar people want to join the alliance, Thelnora said. We are ready to be free. Will you accept us? Of course, Sarah said. The alliance welcomes all who come in peace. There are no grudges here. No punishment for the past. Only hope for the future. Thelnora's lights brightened. I have been appointed as our new ambassador. If you will have me, I would like to work with you to build this new galaxy. I would be honored, Sarah said, extending her hand. Thelnora took it, and they shook on a new beginning. Later that day, Sarah met with Commander Kritak. The Zathari warrior had become one of her closest friends. He had retired from military service and now served as the Alliance's chief military advisor. His job was not to build armies, but to teach defense, to help species protect themselves without becoming conquerors. I have been thinking about what we have accomplished, Kritak said. They were walking through the gardens outside the Great Hall. Earth plants grew beside Zathari ferns and trill flowers. 5 years ago, the galaxy was a prison. Today, it is becoming free. And it all started because one species said no. One species that had no idea what it was getting into. Sarah laughed. When we refused the Council's terms, I thought we might be signing humanity's death warrant. I never imagined we would inspire a galactic revolution. That is because you were not trying to start a revolution, Kritak said. You were just trying to stay free. That is what made it powerful. You did not want to rule anyone. You just refused to be ruled. What about your people? Sarah asked. The Zathari gave up war 10,000 years ago to join the Council. Do you regret that? Kritak was quiet for a moment. No, my people needed to learn peace. We were too violent, too aggressive, but we did not need to surrender our identity to find peace. We could have been both warriors and civilized. We could have been free and peaceful. The Council made us choose, and now? Sarah asked. Now we are remembering who we were while keeping the best of who we became. We are warriors again, but we fight only to defend freedom. We are peaceful, but we will never again trade our liberty for comfort. We are balanced, like humanity always was. Sarah thought about that. Humanity had always been violent and peaceful, warlike and civilized, destructive and creative. They contained contradictions. Maybe that was why they had been able to stand up to the Council. They understood that peace was not the absence of strength. It was the choice not to use strength except when necessary. What happens to the old Council? Sarah asked. Will they ever change? Some will, Kritak predicted. Already, 2 of the remaining 10 species are showing signs of internal reform. Their people see what the Alliance has accomplished. They want the same for themselves. Eventually, I think the old council will either dissolve or transform into something new. And if they attack us again? Sarah asked. Then we defend ourselves, Kritak said simply. But I do not think they will. They lost their moral authority when they threatened to destroy Earth. They lost their military dominance when so many species defected. Now they are just 10 isolated worlds clinging to the past. They are not a threat anymore. They are a warning of what not to become. That evening, a new ship arrived at the Alliance station. It came from the edge of explored space. The species aboard had just achieved faster-than-light travel. They had detected the Alliance's broadcasts and came to make contact. Sarah and Thelnora met them together. The new species looked like floating clouds of gas held together by electromagnetic fields. They communicated through patterns of light and color. They were beautiful and strange. Through translators, the newcomers explained their situation. They were afraid. They knew other civilizations existed. They worried about being conquered or enslaved. They had heard rumors of the old Galactic Council and its forced membership. Sarah understood their fear. She had felt the same thing 5 years ago. She smiled and began to speak. Welcome to the Free Species Alliance. We offer you partnership, trade, and friendship. We require nothing but your word that you come in peace. These are our terms, there are no terms. You are free to accept or refuse, and we will respect your choice either way. That is what we learned from humanity. That true civilization begins with a single word. No. The newcomers were confused. No. We do not understand. The word that changes everything, Thelnora explained. The word that preserves freedom. When someone tries to take your sovereignty, you say no. When someone demands your resources, you say no. When someone claims the right to rule you, you say no. That is the foundation of everything we have built here. The newcomers thought about this. Then they asked, and if we say no to joining your alliance? Sarah laughed. Then we will respect that decision and wish you well. The alliance is voluntary always. The newcomers joined 3 days later. But Sarah knew some species would choose to remain independent, and that was fine too. The galaxy had room for all kinds of civilizations. The only requirement was that they respect each other's freedom. That night, Sarah stood alone in her office. She looked at a picture on her wall. It showed Earth as seen from space, the blue and green planet that had defied an empire, the world that had changed galactic history. She thought about all the humans who had died in the rebellion, the millions lost on Mars and Luna, the billions who had lived in fear during the war. Their sacrifice had meant something. Because of them, the galaxy was free. Sarah had served as coordinator for 1 term. She would not run again. It was time for someone else to lead. Time for a new generation to shape the alliance. She had done what she set out to do. She had kept humanity free. She had inspired others to seek their own freedom. And she had helped build something better than the empire that came before. As she prepared to leave office, she recorded a final message. It would be broadcast to every member of the alliance. To every free world in the galaxy. 5 years ago, humanity faced a choice. Accept subjugation or fight for freedom. We chose freedom. Not because we wanted war, not because we thought we could win, but because some things are worth any price. Freedom is one of those things. Sovereignty is one of those things. The right to determine your own future is one of those things. Today, 37 civilizations stand as free and equal partners. We trade, we share knowledge,